There were only supposed to be 2 of us staying at that cabin. So when I pulled back the sheets on the 3rd bed and found them still warm, I stopped breathing. It was October. My friend Dana and I rented a cabin about 4 hours outside the city. A long weekend, nothing fancy, just a 2-bedroom place in the woods near a lake in northern Wisconsin. We'd been there before. Same cabin, same owner, same gravel road inn. Nothing had ever felt wrong about it. Until this trip. We arrived late Friday night, maybe around 11. The drive took longer than expected, and we were both tired. I went straight to drop my bag in the 2nd bedroom, and that's when I noticed it. The bed had been made, pillow tucked in, duvet pulled back on one side, like someone had just gotten out of it. I called Dana in. She said the cleaning service probably just left it weird. I let it go. I was exhausted. We made dinner, had a glass of wine, and went to bed. I woke up at 2:47 a.m. to the sound of running water. The bathroom between the 2 bedrooms, the shared one, its light was on. I could see the thin strip of yellow beneath the door. I lay there waiting for Dana to come out. She never did. I knocked. No answer. I opened it. Empty. The sink was running cold. The window above the toilet was open, not cracked, wide open. And there was mud on the tile floor. Not a smear. A footprint. I told myself it was Dana's hype walking, mud from earlier, an explanation. But that's not what scared me. What scared me was when I went to wake Dana. She was already in her room, door locked from the inside, fast asleep. She hadn't moved. The next morning I didn't tell her right away. I didn't want to ruin the trip. I cleaned the mud myself, said nothing. That afternoon we walked the trail around the lake. About half a mile in, we passed a man coming the other direction. 50s, heavy jacket, no bag. He looked at us and nodded. Normal enough. But then he said, "You two the only ones staying at the Mercer place?" We said yes. He paused. Then he said, and walked on. We should have gone back to the car right then. That night I couldn't sleep. I lay with my door cracked, watching the hallway. Around midnight I heard footsteps. Slow. Deliberate. Moving across the kitchen floor below us. I grabbed my phone and went to Dana's room. She was awake. She'd heard it too. We sat together listening. The footsteps stopped directly beneath Dana's room. Then silence. Then very slowly, we heard the creak of the stairs. Something was climbing up. We locked her door, sat against it, called 911. The deputy arrived 22 minutes later. He swept the whole cabin. Found nothing. No sign of entry. Back door deadbolted from the inside. He was polite about it. Said animals get under old cabins, make strange sounds. Said it happens all the time up here. We thanked him. He left. Then Dana pointed at the kitchen counter. There were 2 coffee mugs set out. We hadn't done that. We'd been in her room the whole time. We left before dawn. Didn't pack everything. Just got out. I called the rental owner the next day to report what happened. She went quiet for a long moment. Then she said, "Was the 3rd bedroom disturbed?" I asked her what she meant. She said her previous renters, a couple, 2 weeks earlier, had reported the same things. Warm sheets. Footsteps. Bugs. She thought they were just trying to get a refund. And then she said something I haven't been able to stop thinking about. The thing is, we only have 2 bedrooms. There isn't a 3rd bed in that cabin. There never has been.
My husband kept saying the smell was just the woods. Pine, he said. Old wood. Normal cabin smell. He was wrong, and I knew it the moment I found the crawl space. We were celebrating our anniversary, 4 days at a remote cabin in Vermont. No neighbors for miles. Ryan had booked it as a surprise. The place looked perfect in the photos. Stone fireplace, porch swing, surrounded by trees. When we arrived, it was better in person. The smell started on the 2nd night. It was earthy and sweet in a way that made your stomach turn. Not rotten exactly, more like something biological, like the inside of a closet that had been sealed for years. Ryan couldn't smell it, or said he couldn't. I found the crawlspace access panel in the utility room while looking for extra blankets on day 3. A wooden panel in the floor, painted over, hinges nearly rusted shut. I wouldn't have noticed it except one corner had lifted slightly, like it had been opened recently. I told Ryan. He pried it open with a kitchen knife. The smell hit us immediately, strong now, no pretending. He shined his phone flashlight down. He stopped talking mid-sentence. "It's fine," he said, and closed it quickly, too quickly. I asked him what was down there. "Just old pipes, insulation, nothing." He was pale. I didn't push it that night, but I couldn't sleep. At 3 a.m. I got up, went to the utility room, and opened the panel myself. I climbed down. It was a low, dirt-floored space. I had to crouch. I swept my flashlight across it slowly. In the far corner there was a sleeping bag, balled up but recently used. There was condensation on the interior lining, still damp. Next to it, a plastic water bottle, mostly empty. A folded piece of paper. I unfolded the paper with shaking hands. It was a hand-drawn map of the cabin's interior. Every room, every window. The bedroom where Ryan and I had been sleeping, marked with an X. That's when I heard the floorboards above me shift. I killed my flashlight, stood completely still in the dark, in the dirt, under our bedroom floor. The footsteps moved slowly from the bedroom towards the hallway, then stopped. Then the utility room door, above me, creaked open. A flashlight beam came through the open crawlspace panel, swept slowly across the floor, and stopped on the sleeping bag. A voice, not Ryan's, said quietly, "She found it." I screamed. I heard running. Ryan came from the bedroom. We called the police. They searched the property and found a man hiding in the tree line about 200 yards from the cabin. He had a key. The investigators later told us the cabin had been listed under a fake property management company. The man had been living in that crawl space and renting the cabin out on short-term platforms, using the stays to fund himself. He'd been doing it for 8 months. What they couldn't explain, what nobody has been able to explain, is what Ryan saw when he first shined his flashlight down there. I asked him again, months later. He finally told me. "There were 2 sleeping bags," he said. "When you went down, there was only one."
The rule was simple. If you're outside after dark, knock twice before you open the door. My uncle drilled it into us every summer. He never told us why, until the night something knocked twice, and none of us were outside. Every August growing up, my family rented the same cabin in northern Michigan. My uncle owned the land and had built the place himself in the 80s. 5 of us cousins, rotating aunts and uncles, same 2 weeks every year. It felt safe the way only familiar places can, like nothing bad could reach you there. I was 16 the summer the knock happened. Me, my cousin Britt, and her older brother Marcus. The adults had gone into town for dinner. We were alone for a few hours. Nothing new. We'd been left alone at the cabin since we were kids. It was just after 9 p.m., still light enough outside to see the lake through the trees. We were playing cards at the kitchen table. Then, 2 knocks. Front door. Heavy. Deliberate. We looked at each other. Britt said it must be the Harrisons, the family 2 properties over who sometimes checked in on us. Marcus got up and opened the door. Nobody there. We stepped onto the porch. The gravel driveway was empty. The road was empty. The tree line was still. Marcus said it was probably a branch. But the porch roof doesn't have branches near it. We all knew that. We went back inside, locked the door, which we never did. 20 minutes later, 2 more knocks, same door, same rhythm. This time none of us moved. We sat at that table and stared at each other and didn't say a word. Then the knocking came from the back door. Same pattern, 2 knocks, pause. Then the side window. Then the bedroom window down the hall, the one that was 7 feet off the ground. Whatever it was circling the cabin, methodically.
testing every point of entry. Not frantic, patient. And then it stopped. Complete silence, which was somehow worse. We stayed at that table for 2 hours, didn't speak, didn't move. When the adults came home, their headlights swept through the windows, and I've never felt relief like that before or since. Marcus told my uncle immediately. My uncle didn't react the way I expected. He didn't dismiss it or laugh. He set his keys down slowly and said, "Was it exactly 2? Both times?" We said yes. He nodded like that meant something. Then he walked the perimeter of the cabin with a flashlight, alone. When he came back inside, he poured himself a drink and didn't talk for the rest of the night. I never found out what he saw outside. He died 3 years later and never spoke about it. But I found something in his things when we were cleaning out his house. An old journal, barely used, with one entry dated August 1987. The same month he finished building the cabin. It said, "Walk the property line tonight. Markers are still standing. Whatever comes to the edge won't cross if you don't answer. That's the agreement. Never answer after dark. Always knock twice so they know it's you." There was one more line at the bottom. Tonight, something knocked twice. And I was already inside.
The camera belonged to the couple who stayed at the cabin before us. We found it on the second day, tucked under the mattress in the main bedroom. We shouldn't have looked at the photos. My girlfriend Priya and I rented a hunting cabin in rural Tennessee for a week in November. Deep woods, no Wi-Fi, no cell service, nearest town 40 minutes away. That was the point, a real disconnection. The owner, an older man named Cal, met us at the gate to hand over the key. He mentioned the last renters had left abruptly and hadn't returned for their security deposit. He seemed unbothered by that. At the time, so were we. We found the camera on the second day, a small digital point-and-shoot, old model, tucked under the mattress on the far side. Battery was dead. We charged it with an adapter that happened to fit. That was mistake number 1. There were 61 photos on the card. The first 40 or so were normal. A couple, happy, outdoorsy. Hiking photos, campfire photos, the cabin exterior. They looked like us, honestly. Same kind of trip. Then around photo 43, something changed. The woman in the pictures was alone, smiling, but the smile looked different, strained. The cabin in the background looked darker, less light in the windows, even during what appeared to be daytime. Photo 51 stopped me completely. It was taken inside the cabin, the living room, looking toward the back hallway. Nighttime shot, flash was on. And at the end of the hallway, half obscured by shadow, there was a figure. Not the man, not the woman. Taller, wrong proportions, too long in the torso, standing completely still, facing the camera. Priya said it could be a coat on a hook or a trick of the flash. I went and stood in that hallway. There was no hook. There was nothing on the walls. Photo 52. Same hallway, same angle, different night. The figure was closer. Now clearly visible from the waist up. Still facing the camera. Still not moving. Photo 53. The living room, wide angle. No figure. But every cabinet in the kitchen behind it was open. Photo 54 was of the front door. It was open. But in photo 53, same continuous night, it had been closed. Photos 55 through 60 were corrupted, dark, blurred. Photo 61, the last one, was taken outside. Trees, dark sky, flash barely reaching. The cabin was visible in the far background. Every window of the cabin was lit up. Both front windows, the bedroom window on the side, the bathroom porthole window. Every light in the cabin was on. But in the photo, standing on the porch, facing outward, facing the camera, was the woman from the earlier photos. She was alone. She was looking directly at the lens. She was not smiling. We packed up and left that night, drove the 40 minutes to town and stayed in a motel. I called Cal the next morning to tell him we were leaving early and why. I described the camera, the photos, long silence on his end. Then he said the names of the couple, asked if I'd recognize them from the pictures. I said no. He told me they'd rented the cabin 14 months ago. They'd left abruptly, like I said. The man had checked out fine, made it home. The woman had never been found. That camera, he said, was not there when I cleaned before your arrival. I checked under every mattress,
I always do. I asked him what he thought that meant. He said, I think she came back to leave it for someone. I've thought about that almost every day since. What I can't get past, what keeps me awake sometimes, is that there were 61 photos on that camera. When we arrived, Priya took one photo of me in front of the cabin, just to remember the trip. She used her phone, not the camera. I counted the photos again before we left. There were 62.